Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take sources, unpack them, and give you those key nuggets of knowledge. Our mission really is simple: give you a shortcut to being well informed, maybe with a few surprising facts, and hopefully just enough humor to keep you listening. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really insightful guide from Plouta. You might know them, they're a fantastic financial well-being hub. And Plouta's mission, which, resonates with what we do here, is all about empowering people, empowering you with clear, trustworthy financial insights, the kind that helps you reach, well, real financial freedom. So we're going to unpack some pretty profound lessons. These come from Morgan Housel's bestseller, The Psychology of Money, but we're looking at them through Plauta's interpretation. And the core idea, it's a bit of a mind bender, actually. What if financial success isn't really about what you know? What if it's mostly about how you behave?
That's exactly right. That's the pivot. This deep dive is all about exploring 5 crucial lessons Plouta flags. Lessons that really shift how we think about wealth, about risk, about savings. It's the stuff Plouta sees as the absolute bedrock for building a secure and, an independent future.
Okay, but before we jump right in, just a quick but really important note for everyone listening. This deep dive, it's a summary and interpretation of concepts from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, curated by Plouta. It's purely for informational and educational purposes. It absolutely does not constitute financial advice.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
Remember, the value of investments, it can go down just as easily as it can go up. Always, always consider getting independent financial advice that's tailored specifically to you, to your own circumstances.
Right. Got that covered.
Yeah.
So let's get into this core argument because, honestly, it changes the frame. Plouta really highlights Housel's idea that finance, well, it isn't this rigid hard science, is it? No perfect formulas.
No, not at all. It's much more of a soft skill. And what's really striking is Housel's emphasis, Plouta points this out too, on behavior over just, being smart. He basically argues that how you act with your money, that's way more important than your IQ or understanding complex charts. It kind of flips traditional advice on its head.
It really does. And Plouta underlines that getting a handle on your own financial psychology, your own quirks and habits, well, that's not just nice to have. It's the absolute foundation, the starting point for building that secure, independent future we're aiming for. Makes you look inward, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, so lesson 1 from Plauta's guide. Wealth is what you don't see.
Ah, yes. We all see the signals, right? The expensive cars, the fancy holidays, designer labels.
But that's just it. Housel, through Plauta's lens, makes this critical point. That's not wealth. That's spending, consumption, visible consumption.
Right. So true wealth, that's the stuff happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. It's the money you haven't spent. It's the shares maybe sitting in your ISO, quietly growing. It's your pension contributions compounding away over years. Or even just, the cash buffer you've built in an emergency fund. It's not about showing off. It's about having options. Financial optionality, freedom, flexibility. That's what those unseen assets give you.
But then there's that trap that keeping up with the Joneses, it's so powerful. You see your neighbor's brand new SUV, and your first thought isn't, wow, they just dropped maybe 60 pounds. It's
I want one. Or
Yeah.
how can they afford that?
exactly. And that pulls you into this dangerous loop where you start prioritizing how wealthy you look over actually quietly building wealth. You're performing almost.
You are performing for an audience that probably isn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
So the mindset shift Plouta encourages isn't just a simplistic stop caring what people think. That's hard. It's more about consciously rewiring yourself to find real satisfaction in that invisible security, finding value there rather than in the temporary buzz of showing off.
Shifting the benchmark from external, what they have, to internal, what you have built, unseen.
Precisely. Financial freedom, real freedom, is often invisible. You don't see it driving down the street.
Okay, that makes sense. And building on that, the next lesson is related. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Plauta's guide is clear here. These are like 2 completely different skills.
Totally different. Getting wealthy often needs, a bit of boldness, taking risks, optimism, maybe starting that business or backing a high-growth potential company.
But staying wealthy, that needs almost the opposite.
Exactly the opposite mindset. It needs humility. It needs a dose of healthy paranoia, maybe, and accepting that the very same things, the risks that helped you get the wealth, can easily wipe it out. Staying wealthy is about survival, protection.
And the trap here, the psychological bit, is that hot hand feeling, right? After a few wins.
Oh, yeah. You feel invincible, like you can't lose.
You start thinking past success guarantees future success, and you take on way too much risk. I love that Housel quote Plouta included.
Which one? The paranoia one.
Yeah. There are a million ways to get wealthy, but there's only one way to stay wealthy. Some combination of frugality and paranoia.
It's stark, but it makes you think. So the mindset shift is about deliberately building that survival thinking into your plan. It's not about being timid, it's about being resilient. Plouta really stresses this. A solid emergency fund is non-negotiable, absolutely critical.
Right. And diversification.
Crucial. Spreading your investments, different assets, maybe different countries, so one bad event doesn't sink the whole ship. And, importantly, avoiding being overloaded with debt. You have to listen to that little paranoid voice sometimes. The future is uncertain.
That leads nicely into the next one, lesson 3, the unbelievable power of compounding.
This one's fundamental.
Plouta's take on Housel here is that you don't actually need amazing, stellar investment returns. You just need, what was it? Pretty good returns sustained over an uninterrupted period of time.
Yeah, pretty good and uninterrupted. The classic example is always Warren Buffett. His incredible wealth isn't just because he was a great investor. It's because he was a pretty good investor for like 80 years.
80 years since he was a kid, right?
Exactly. The sheer power of compounding over that time frame is just mind-boggling. His genius wasn't just picking stocks. It was patience. Boring, relentless patience, which is surprisingly rare.
It really is. And that's the trap, isn't it? Impatience. We tend to think we can achieve huge things in 1 year, but we totally underestimate what 10 or 20 years of steady progress can do.
Absolutely. So people chase fads, the next big thing, hoping for quick riches. They get burned, maybe lose money. Then they get discouraged and stop.
Yeah.
And stopping is what breaks the compounding chain. It interrupts the most powerful force you have.
Yeah.
Time.
So the shift is appreciating that real wealth, serious wealth, it's usually built slowly.
Slowly and deliberately, yeah. The goal isn't finding the miracle investment. It's consistent investing, probably in something diversified, for decades. Just letting compounding do its quiet work. Like Plouta puts it, focus on a good return that you can stick with for the longest possible time. Consistency beats intensity here.
Okay, that flows into lesson 4. Plan for things to go wrong. Sounds a bit pessimistic.
Well, maybe realistic is a better word. Plouta's reading of Housel here is that a good plan isn't one that assumes sunshine and rainbows forever. A good plan actively makes room for errors, for bad luck, for life just happening. Unexpected stuff.
Housel calls it a margin of safety, right? Like building in buffers.
Exactly that. Building in buffers. Maybe saving a bit more for retirement than the online calculator says you need, or keeping more cash accessible than might seem optimal, according to some theory. It's about resilience. So when life inevitably throws you that curveball, job loss, illness, market dip, your plan can absorb it. It bends. It doesn't shatter.
But the trap is our own optimism, isn't it? We naturally tend to underestimate the bad stuff happening.
We do. We don't like thinking about losing a job or a health scare or a big market crash. So we make these neat spreadsheets where everything goes up in a straight line.
Huh. Yeah, the perfect projection.
And then reality hits, that neat plan falls apart, and it causes massive stress. We've all felt that, right?
Definitely. So the mindset shift is what? Embracing uncertainty.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Embrace the fact that the future is unknowable. Plouta really hammers this home. Your emergency fund is your ultimate safety net. Non-negotiable.
And don't stretch yourself too thin.
Right. Avoid massive debt burdens like a huge mortgage that leaves no wiggle room, and diversify everything, not just investments, maybe even income sources if possible. Don't have all your eggs in one very fragile basket.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Which brings us to the last one, lesson 5, the power enough.
Ah, yes. Plouta suggests this might be the most profound one of all.
It's about defining what enough actually means for you personally. Why is that so important?
Because if you don't define it, you get stuck on what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill.
Yeah.
You keep striving for more money, more stuff, but it doesn't actually bring lasting happiness. You just adapt and want more again.
So real happiness comes from elsewhere.
Housel argues, and Plouta agrees, it comes from things like having control over your time, having meaningful relationships, having a sense of purpose, not from just having endless piles of cash.
The trap here, though, feels quite subtle. Social comparison again.
It really is. It's insidious. You look around, see people who seem to have more, and you feel inadequate, even if you're actually doing fine, objectively comfortable. And that feeling pushes you. It makes you take maybe unnecessary risks or work crazy hours chasing tiny extra gains in happiness that just don't last.
So the shift Plout is pushing for is figure out your low first, then the money.
Exactly. Define what you actually want from life, what experiences, what freedom, what impact, then work backwards to figure out the money needed for that.
So the goal isn't get as much money as possible.
No, the goal should be something like, have enough money to live the life I genuinely want. And Plouta really emphasizes this. Once you have enough, you have won the game. You've hit the target.
So continuing to take big risks after that point?
It's kind of pointless, isn't it? Maybe even counterproductive. You've already won. Why risk losing?
Wow. Okay. When you put them all together like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating how they all connect, isn't it? The path to financial freedom, as Plouta maps it out from Housel, it's not about secret formulas or timing the market perfectly. It's much more about that quiet discipline, consistently saving what you don't spend, building wealth, yes, but also protecting it.
Letting compounding do the heavy lifting.
Powered by compounding, exactly. And the whole thing needs to be anchored by knowing your own personal enough.
So this really poses a question for everyone listening, doesn't it?
It really does. Take a moment, maybe after this, and reflect. Not just on the numbers, your bank balance or whatever, but on your relationship with money. What are your habits? Your behaviors? What are you really aiming for in life? What's your enough?
Yeah. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I think Plouta's guide sums it up beautifully. Understanding your own psychology. That might just be the most valuable investment you ever make. Seriously.
It's the foundation.
It really is the foundation you need to build a financial life that's resilient, independent, and actually, fulfilling.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the psychology of money, guided by Plouta's insights.
Yeah, I hope it gave you some food for thought.
We certainly hope it's given you plenty to think about on your own journey to financial freedom. And hey, if you found this useful, maybe learn something. Please do consider liking this, sharing it with someone who might benefit, and subscribing for more deep dives.
Definitely. And we genuinely want to hear from you.
Yeah. Drop your comments below. What did you think about Housel's ideas or Plouta's take on them? Have you read the book? Let us know.
And consider joining our financial wellness community. Let's keep this important conversation going.
Absolutely. Thanks again for tuning in.